True Scary Stories from the Attic. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight's story is not just a creepy experience. It's the kind of story that makes you question something much deeper. Something we don't usually talk about. Something that might exist just beyond the walls of our homes. Before we begin, make sure you're listening somewhere quiet, because this story is best experienced in the dark. And trust me, after hearing this, you might never look at your attic the same way again. This story was sent by a listener named Ethan from Pennsylvania. He wrote to us saying that what happened in his house changed his life forever. And according to him, it all started with a sound. Ethan lived in an old wooden house that had been built sometime in the late 1940s. The house wasn't new, but it wasn't exactly falling apart either. It had that typical American suburban look. White paint, a small front porch, a backyard with tall trees, and above everything, an attic. The attic was always there. But strangely enough, no one in the family ever used it. Ethan lived there with his parents and his younger brother Lucas. Their parents had bought the house about 6 years earlier. At first, everything felt normal. Nothing strange. Nothing unusual. Just another quiet neighborhood. But Ethan says things slowly began to change during the winter of 2021. It started with small sounds. Very small. Almost impossible to notice. At first, he thought it was just the house settling. Old houses often make noises. Wood expands. Pipes move. Wind pushes against the roof. But these sounds were different. They always came from one place. The attic. At around 2:30 a.m. every night, Ethan would hear something. A slow dragging sound. Like something heavy being pulled across the floor. Squirrels. Pause. Squirrels. At first he ignored it. But the sound kept happening. Every night. Same time. Same place. After about a week, Ethan finally mentioned it during breakfast. "Do you guys hear noises in the attic at night?" His dad barely looked up from his coffee. "Probably squirrels." His mom nodded. "Yeah, animals get in sometimes." That explanation sounded reasonable. So Ethan tried to forget about it. But Lucas, his younger brother, looked nervous. That night, Lucas quietly came into Ethan's room. "Can I sleep here tonight?" Ethan laughed. "What, are you scared of squirrels?" Lucas shook his head. "It's not squirrels." Ethan rolled his eyes. "Then what is it?" Lucas hesitated. Then he said something that made Ethan uncomfortable. "Whatever is up there. It walks." Ethan stared at him. "What do you mean?" Lucas looked toward the ceiling. "Animals don't walk like that." Ethan tried to laugh it off. But deep down, something about that statement stuck in his mind. Because if he was being honest, the sound never really did sound like animals. It sounded like footsteps. A few nights later, Ethan woke up suddenly. He didn't know why, but his heart was racing. The room was silent. Then he heard it. The sound again. But this time it was different. It wasn't dragging anymore. It was walking. Slow. Heavy. Step. 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 Right above his bedroom. Ethan held his breath. The footsteps stopped. Then something happened that he will never forget. A single knock. 3 times. Knock. 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 Directly above his bed. Ethan froze. Because no animal knocks. And no squirrel walks like a person. He slowly reached for his phone and turned on the flashlight. The ceiling looked normal. Nothing moved. Nothing made sense. But he knew one thing for sure. Something was inside the attic. The next morning, Ethan told his dad. This time his dad took it seriously. That afternoon, they pulled down the attic ladder in the hallway. Dust fell everywhere. The wooden stairs creaked as they unfolded. Ethan's dad grabbed a flashlight. "You coming?" Ethan hesitated, then nodded. They climbed up slowly. The attic smelled old. Dry wood, dust, and something else. Something strange. The flashlight beam moved across the floor. Old boxes, Christmas decorations, broken furniture. Nothing unusual. Until Ethan noticed something in the far corner. A small mattress. And next to it, an empty water bottle. Ethan felt cold. "Dad, why is there a mattress up here?" His dad didn't answer immediately. Instead, he slowly walked closer. Then he saw it. Footprints. In the dust. Barefoot. Fresh. Leading from the mattress. Toward a dark corner of the attic. And then disappearing. Ethan's father whispered something under his breath. Then he said something Ethan will never forget. "Someone has been living up here." But before Ethan could respond, they heard a sound behind them. A slow breath. Right in the darkness. And then, a voice. Very quiet, but very clear. "Please don't turn around. Welcome back. If you remember where we left off." Ethan and his father were standing inside the attic of their house. They had just discovered something disturbing. A mattress, empty water bottles, and fresh footprints in the dust, which meant only one thing. Someone had been living up there. But before they could even react, a voice came from the darkness behind them. A slow whisper. "Please don't turn around." For a moment, neither Ethan nor his father moved. The attic suddenly felt much smaller. The air felt heavier. Ethan's father slowly tightened his grip on the flashlight. "Who's there?" he asked. No answer. Just silence. Then the voice came again. Softer this time. "I'm not here to hurt you." Ethan could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. His father slowly turned around anyway. The flashlight beam swept across the attic. And then, it stopped. In the far corner, someone was sitting there, curled up against the wall. A thin figure. Long hair covering most of their face. Bare feet. Dirty clothes. The person looked pale. Almost ghost-like. Ethan's father spoke first. "Who are you?" The figure didn't answer. Instead, they slowly lifted their head. And when the light hit their face, Ethan realized something strange. It wasn't a man. It wasn't a woman either. It was a teenage girl. Maybe 16. Maybe 17. Her eyes looked tired, like she hadn't slept in days. She slowly raised her hands. "I'm sorry." Ethan's father looked confused. "Sorry for what?" She swallowed nervously. "For living here." The sentence sounded so strange that Ethan didn't know how to react. "Living here," his dad repeated. The girl nodded slowly. "I had nowhere else to go." Ethan and his father exchanged looks. The girl continued speaking quietly. "I didn't want to scare anyone. I just needed a place to stay." Ethan's dad took a step forward. "How long have you been here?" The girl hesitated. Then she said something that made Ethan's stomach twist. "Almost 2 months." 2 months. She had been living inside their attic for 2 months. sleeping above their heads, walking around at night, listening to everything. Ethan suddenly remembered the footsteps, the dragging sounds, the knocks. It had been her the whole time, but something still didn't make sense. If she was hiding, why was she making so much noise? Ethan asked her, "Why were you walking around at night?" The girl looked confused. "I was." Ethan frowned. "But we heard footsteps every night." She shook her head. "I stayed very quiet." Now Ethan's father looked concerned. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "Yes, I only moved when everyone was asleep." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. Because if she wasn't the one making those noises, then what was? The attic suddenly felt colder. Ethan's father cleared his throat. "Okay, let's go downstairs and talk." The girl hesitated. She looked terrified. "Are you going to call the police?" His dad shook his head. "Not if you tell us the truth." She slowly stood up. Her legs were shaking. Ethan noticed how thin she was, like she hadn't eaten properly in weeks. They climbed down from the attic together. Ethan's mom nearly screamed when she saw the girl. But after hearing the situation, her reaction changed quickly. Instead of anger, she looked heartbroken. The girl's name was Maya. She explained that she had run away from home. Her family situation had been complicated, and she had been sleeping in abandoned places before finding their attic window slightly open one night. She climbed inside and never left. Ethan's parents gave her food, warm clothes, and let her rest on the couch. For the first time in weeks, Maya slept peacefully. Everything should have ended there. But it didn't, because later that night, something happened again. Something impossible. Around 2:37 a.m., Ethan woke up. The house was quiet. Everyone was asleep. Except the sound had returned. Footsteps. Above him. In the attic. Step. 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 Ethan slowly sat up. His heart started racing again. That made no sense. Maya was downstairs. So who, or what, was walking in the attic? Then came the sound again. 3 knocks. Knock. 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 Right above his ceiling. Ethan grabbed his phone. His hands were shaking. He slowly opened his bedroom door. The hallway was dark. Then he heard something downstairs. A whisper. He walked toward the living room and froze because Maya was standing there, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. Her face looked completely terrified. Ethan whispered, "You hear it too?" She nodded slowly. Her voice trembled. "I told you. I never walked at night." Ethan felt the blood drain from his face. Because now, there was no explanation left. And then the footsteps upstairs suddenly stopped. The house became completely silent. For 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Then something new happened. From the attic door in the hallway, they heard the sound of the ladder moving. Slowly. Creak. 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 As if someone above them was trying to come down. Welcome back. If you remember where we stopped, Ethan and Maya were standing in the hallway, both of them staring at the attic door. Moments earlier, they had clearly heard footsteps moving around above them. But that didn't make sense, because the only person who had been living in the attic, Maya, was now standing right next to Ethan, which meant one terrifying possibility. Someone or something else was still up there, And now, the attic ladder was moving, slowly unfolding on its own. Creak. The sound echoed through the silent house. Ethan's throat went dry. Maya grabbed his arm. Her fingers were shaking. "Did you leave the attic door open earlier?" she whispered. Ethan shook his head slowly. "No." The ladder dropped another inch. Creak, creak, creak. Each step sliding down like invisible hands were pulling it open. Neither of them moved. Neither of them spoke. The entire house felt frozen. Then suddenly, thud, the ladder slammed fully open. Both Ethan and Maya jumped. The attic entrance now hung wide open above the hallway. Dark, completely black, like a hole in the ceiling. Ethan's heart was beating so hard he could hear it in his ears. Maya whispered something quietly. "I never opened it from inside." Ethan slowly reached for the flashlight on his phone. The beam of light pointed toward the opening, but the light barely touched the darkness above. It was like the attic was swallowing the light. "Maybe," Ethan whispered, trying to calm himself, "maybe something fell." Maya shook her head immediately. "No." She looked terrified. "I know that sound." Ethan looked at her. "What do you mean?" Her voice dropped lower. "When I lived up there, that ladder opened like that 3 times. Ethan felt cold. And Maya swallowed. "I never checked." Before Ethan could say anything else, a soft sound came from above. Tap. Something moving. Very slowly. Almost like someone crawling across the attic floor. Tap. Scrape. Tap. Ethan felt every muscle in his body tighten. His brain was screaming at him to run. But his feet wouldn't move. Maya whispered again. "Someone is up there." But then she added something that made the situation even worse. "And it's not the first time." Ethan suddenly remembered something Maya had said earlier. She claimed she stayed quiet, that she only moved when everyone was asleep. Which meant those earlier footsteps might not have been her. Ethan forced himself to ask, "Maya, when you were living up there, did you ever feel like someone else was there?" Maya didn't answer immediately. Her eyes stayed fixed on the attic opening. Then she slowly nodded. "Yes." Ethan's stomach dropped. "What do you mean, yes?" She whispered. "Sometimes I heard breathing." The hallway felt colder. Ethan tried to laugh nervously. "That's impossible." But Maya kept talking. "Sometimes when I was lying on the mattress, I could hear someone moving in the dark. Not walking. Crawling." Ethan's flashlight flickered slightly in his shaking hand. Maya continued. "I thought maybe the house had animals. But animals don't whisper." Ethan stared at her. "Whisper." Maya nodded slowly. Her voice trembled. "Sometimes when I tried to sleep, I heard someone say my name." Ethan felt goosebumps spread across his arms. "What did the voice sound like?" She shook her head slowly. "I couldn't understand the words, but it sounded like someone trying to copy a human voice." Right then, something moved above them. Loud this time. Scraap. Like something heavy being dragged across the attic floor. Ethan nearly dropped his phone. Maya gasped. The sound moved closer. Closer to the attic opening. Then, silence again. Complete silence. The flashlight beam pointed directly into the darkness. But nothing appeared. Ethan whispered, "Maybe we should wake my dad." Maya nodded quickly. "Yes." But before they could move, a hand appeared. slowly reaching over the edge of the attic opening. Ethan's entire body froze. The hand was pale, very pale. The fingers were long, too long, and they were bent at strange angles, like they had been broken and healed incorrectly. Maya covered her mouth. The hand slowly gripped the edge of the ceiling. Then another hand appeared. Then a head began to lower slowly into view. Ethan felt his heart stop, because the face looked almost human. But something was terribly wrong. The skin looked stretched. The eyes were wide, too wide. And the smile was unnatural, as if the mouth had been pulled too far across the face. The creature tilted its head slowly. And then it spoke, in a soft voice. Magia. Maya screamed. The voice sounded exactly like Ethan's mother. But his mom was asleep downstairs. The creature's smile grew wider. Maya, why did you leave the attic? Ethan finally snapped out of his shock. Run, he shouted. They both turned and sprinted down the hallway. Behind them, something dropped from the attic. Thud. Then came the sound of something running. Not walking. Running. But the footsteps sounded wrong, like too many limbs hitting the floor. Ethan and Maya rushed into Ethan's parents' bedroom. Dad, wake up. His father jumped out of bed immediately. What's going on? Before Ethan could answer, something slammed into the hallway wall outside. Bang! Then silence again. Ethan's dad grabbed a baseball bat from beside the bed. What the hell was that? Ethan pointed toward the hallway. Something came down from the attic. His dad frowned. That's impossible. But just then, a slow scratching sound started outside the bedroom door. Scratch, 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 like long fingernails dragging across the wood. Then came a whisper. Soft, almost playful. Ethan. The voice sounded exactly like Ethan's father. But Ethan's father was standing right next to him, holding the bat, looking terrified. The whisper came again. Why are you hiding? Come back to the attic. Welcome back. If you remember where we left off. Ethan, Maya, and Ethan's father were standing inside the bedroom. The hallway outside was completely dark, and something was scratching on the door. Scratch, scratch, scratch. The sound was slow, almost playful, like something was enjoying the fear inside the room. Ethan's father tightened his grip on the baseball bat. Everyone stay behind me, he whispered. The scratching suddenly stopped. Complete silence. Then came the voice again. Soft, calm, and horribly familiar. Ethan. The voice sounded exactly like Ethan's father. But Ethan's father was standing right there, holding the bat, looking terrified. Maya whispered, barely breathing. It can copy voices. Ethan slowly stepped backward. What do you mean copy voices? Maya swallowed. When I lived in the attic, sometimes I heard it talking. It sounded like different people every time. Ethan's dad frowned. What kind of people? Maya's voice shook. Sometimes it sounded like you. She pointed at Ethan. Sometimes it sounded like your mom. And once, she paused. It sounded like a child crying. The room went quiet. Outside the door, something moved again. This time it sounded like footsteps. But not normal footsteps. More like something crawling. Tap, 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 as if hands and feet were hitting the floor together. Then suddenly, bang! Something slammed hard against the bedroom door. Everyone jumped. Ethan's mother woke up instantly. "What's happening?" Ethan's dad quickly turned to her. "Stay back." Another bang. Bang. The door shook violently. The doorknob twisted slowly. Then stopped. Then twisted again. But the door was locked. The entire family stood frozen. Then something strange happened. The voice changed again. This time it sounded like Maya. Perfectly like Maya. "Ethan, help me." But Maya was standing right next to him. Shaking. The voice came again. "Please, open the door." Ethan felt cold, because the tone sounded desperate, like someone begging for help. But he knew it wasn't real. His father raised the bat higher. "Don't listen to it." Silence returned again. 10 seconds passed. 20 seconds. Then slowly, the footsteps moved away. Tap, 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 moving down the hallway. Then toward the living room. Then toward the kitchen. Ethan's father slowly opened the bedroom door. Just a little. The hallway looked empty. Completely quiet. But something was wrong. The attic ladder was still open. And now, it was swinging slightly, as if something had climbed down recently. Ethan's father whispered, "Stay here." But Ethan shook his head. "No way." They stepped into the hallway together. Maya followed close behind. The house felt completely different now. Every shadow looked darker. Every small sound felt louder. They slowly walked toward the living room. The floor creaked under their feet. The kitchen light flickered faintly in the distance. Then they heard something inside the kitchen. The refrigerator door opening. Creak. Ethan's dad froze. Did anyone go into the kitchen? Everyone shook their heads. The fridge door slammed shut. Thud. Ethan's father moved forward. 1 step. 2 steps. 3 steps. Then he reached the kitchen entrance. He raised the bat and turned the corner. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Ethan heard his father whisper something. A word that sent chills down his spine. "Oh my God." Ethan rushed forward, and what he saw made his stomach twist. The kitchen floor was covered in muddy footprints. Not normal footprints. They were too long, too thin, and they were everywhere. Across the tiles, across the cabinets, even up the wall, like something had climbed the wall itself. Maya whispered, "It wasn't doing that before." Ethan looked at her. "What do you mean before?" She pointed toward the ceiling. "When I was living in the attic, it never came downstairs." Ethan felt a cold wave pass through him. "So why is it coming down now?" Maya slowly looked toward him. Her eyes were filled with fear. "Because it knows I left." Suddenly, the lights went out. The entire house went dark. Ethan's mom screamed. Ethan quickly turned on his phone flashlight again. The beam of light shook across the kitchen. Then something moved behind them. Vast. A shadow crossing the hallway. Ethan spun around. But nothing was there. Then came a loud sound from upstairs. Thump. 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 Heavy footsteps running across the ceiling. The creature had gone back up. Into the attic again. Ethan's father breathed slowly. "We need to call the police." But Maya shook her head. "No." Ethan stared at her. "What do you mean, no?" Her voice was quiet. "It won't help." Ethan frowned. "How do you know?" She hesitated, then said something terrifying. Because someone already tried. Ethan's heart dropped. Who? Maya pointed slowly toward the attic. The last people who lived here. The entire house suddenly felt colder. Ethan's father spoke slowly. What happened to them? Maya looked down. Then she whispered. They disappeared. At that exact moment, a loud crash came from the attic, like something had thrown furniture across the floor. The ceiling shook. Dust fell down into the hallway. And then, a slow laugh echoed through the house. Not loud, not aggressive, just quiet, almost amused. And it came from directly above them. Welcome back. If you remember the last moment. A slow, quiet laugh echoed from the attic. Not loud, not angry, almost amused. The sound crawled through the ceiling like a cold wind. Ethan felt his entire body go still. No one in the house spoke. No one even breathed loudly. Because now everyone understood one thing. Whatever was up there, it knew they were all awake. And it was watching them. The laugh faded slowly. Then the house became silent again. Ethan's father finally spoke. We're leaving. Ethan looked at him. What? His father pointed toward the front door. Everyone grab your phones. We're getting out of this house. But Maya suddenly shook her head. No. Ethan turned toward her. What do you mean, no? Her voice was shaking. You can't leave. Ethan's father looked frustrated. Why not? Maya slowly pointed toward the ceiling. Because it followed me before. The room went completely quiet. Ethan felt a knot form in his stomach. What do you mean followed you? Maya took a slow breath. I wasn't always living in your attic. Ethan's dad frowned. Then where were you before? Maya looked toward the hallway. Toward the attic ladder. Her eyes filled with fear. The house before this one. Ethan felt cold again. You mean it was already there? She nodded slowly. Yes. Ethan's father spoke carefully. You need to explain that. Maya sat down slowly at the kitchen table. Her hands were shaking. I ran away from home 3 months ago. I was sleeping in empty places, garages, abandoned houses. Then I found a house with a broken window. I thought it was empty. She paused, then continued quietly. But the attic wasn't empty. Ethan leaned forward. What did you see? Maya stared at the floor. At first, nothing. But every night, I heard someone moving above me. Ethan's father frowned. Above you? Yes. Maya nodded slowly. That house had 2 attic spaces. One above the other. The kitchen suddenly felt colder. Like a second attic. Ethan asked. Maya nodded again. Yes. And something was living in the top one. A chill moved through Ethan's spine. What did it look like? Maya hesitated. Then she whispered. I never saw it clearly. But it watched me. Ethan felt uneasy. How do you know? Maya slowly lifted her sleeve. Her arm was covered in faint scratch marks. Old scars. Thin lines. Ethan's father looked shocked. Did it do that to you? Maya shook her head slowly. No. Her voice dropped. It did worse things. Before Ethan could ask more, the attic exploded with noise. Bang! Something heavy slammed against the ceiling. Then another bang. Bang! The light fixture in the kitchen started shaking. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ethan's mom screamed. What is it doing up there? The sound continued. Bang, 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 like something throwing itself against the attic floor. Trying to break through. Ethan's father grabbed the bat again. We need to leave now. But before anyone moved, the banging stopped instantly. Complete silence. The house felt frozen again. Then slowly, they heard footsteps, walking across the attic, directly above the kitchen. Step, 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 slow, heavy, deliberate. Then the footsteps stopped directly above Maya. And the voice came again. Soft, almost curious. Maria. Maya froze. The voice continued. You can't hide down there. Ethan's father whispered. Do not answer it. But Maya looked terrified. Her lips were trembling. It knows me. Then the creature spoke again. And this time, its voice changed. Now it sounded exactly like Maya. Perfectly identical. Maya, come back upstairs. Ethan felt sick. The voice was copying her perfectly. Then it said something worse. You left your bed. You left your food. You left me. Maya covered her ears. No, no, no. The creature continued. You promised you wouldn't leave. The words echoed softly through the ceiling. Ethan whispered. Maya, what is it talking about? She shook her head violently. I never promised anything. But the voice answered immediately. Yes, you did. The entire house went silent again. Then something began scratching across the ceiling. Scratch, 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 right above Maya's head. Then a loud crack appeared in the ceiling. A thin line spreading across the plaster. Ethan's mom gasped. It's breaking through. Another crack. Crack. Dust fell onto the table. The creature was digging, trying to break through the ceiling. Ethan's father shouted. Everyone move. They rushed into the living room, just as the kitchen ceiling collapsed. Boom! A large hole appeared. Wood pieces fell everywhere. The attic was now visible from below. Dark. Empty. For a moment, nothing moved. Ethan slowly raised his flashlight. The beam reached into the broken attic space. Then something moved. A shape crawling along the beams. Fast. Too fast. Then it stopped, and slowly lowered its head into the hole. Ethan's flashlight hit its face. And for the first time, they saw it clearly. The creature's body looked thin, almost skeletal. Its arms were too long. Its fingers bent in strange directions. Its eyes were wide and unblinking. But the worst part was its smile. It stretched across its face unnaturally wide. The creature tilted its head slowly, then spoke again. This time, in Ethan's voice. Mom, I'm hungry. Ethan felt his stomach twist, because his mom looked toward him. And for a split second, even she almost believed it. Then the creature started climbing down. Slowly, quietly, like a spider crawling out of the ceiling. And Ethan realized something terrifying. It wasn't trying to scare them anymore. It was coming down. To join them. Welcome back. The last thing Ethan and his family saw was the creature slowly crawling down from the broken attic ceiling. Its long arms gripping the wooden beams. Its head hanging upside down. And that unnatural smile stretching across its face. For a moment, no one moved. No one even breathed. Because the creature didn't rush. It didn't jump. It moved slowly. almost calmly, like it knew no one could escape. Ethan's flashlight shook in his hand as the beam followed the creature's movement. It lowered one arm, then another. Its fingers bent around the edge of the broken ceiling. Then its body dropped silently onto the kitchen floor. Thud! The sound echoed through the house. The creature stood there for a moment, completely still, its head tilted slightly to the side. Then it began sniffing the air. Slowly, like an animal searching for something. Ethan whispered, "Oh my God!" The creature suddenly turned its head. Its eyes locked directly onto him, and its smile widened even further. Then it spoke again. But this time, the voice was different. Now it sounded like Ethan's mother. Perfectly identical. "Ethan, come here." Ethan's mom gasped beside him. "That's my voice." The creature took one slow step forward. Its joints made strange cracking sounds, like bones shifting under its skin. Step, crack, step, crack. Maya suddenly whispered something. "Don't look at its eyes." Ethan blinked. "What?" Maya repeated herself quickly. "Don't make eye contact." But it was too late. The creature's eyes were already locked on Ethan. And something strange began happening. The room started feeling distant, like the sounds were fading away. The creature's voice echoed softly. "Ethan, come upstairs." Ethan felt his legs moving. Slowly, against his own will. He took one step forward, then another. His father grabbed his arm instantly. "Hey!" Ethan blinked. The strange feeling disappeared. His father pulled him backward. "Don't listen to it." The creature stopped walking. Its smile slowly faded. Then it tilted its head again and laughed. Not loudly, just a quiet, distorted laugh, like it was enjoying the game. Then suddenly, it moved. Fast, much faster than before. In one terrifying motion, the creature crawled across the kitchen floor. On all fours, like a spider, Ethan's father swung the baseball bat. Whack! The bat hit the creature's shoulder. But instead of falling, the creature twisted its body unnaturally. Its arm bent backward in a way no human arm should. Then it lunged forward again. Ethan's father shouted, "Run!" Everyone rushed toward the front door. Ethan grabbed Maya's hand. His mom ran ahead of them. His father slammed the bat against the creature again. Whack! The creature stumbled slightly, but it didn't seem hurt. Instead, it started laughing again. The laugh echoed through the house. Then the creature spoke again, this time using Ethan's little brother, Lucas's voice. "Dad, don't leave me." Ethan froze. Lucas wasn't even home that night. He had been staying with their aunt. But hearing his voice made Ethan's father hesitate. Just for 1 second. That second was enough. The creature lunged. Its long fingers grabbed Ethan's father's shirt. Ethan screamed, "Dad!" His father slammed the bat backward again. The creature released him. But it didn't stop chasing. The family finally reached the front door. Ethan opened it and everyone rushed outside. Cold night air hit their faces. They ran across the yard. Ethan turned around and saw something that made his blood freeze. The creature wasn't chasing them. It was standing in the doorway, watching them, its head slowly turning as they ran. Then it spoke again. Soft, mocking. "You can leave the house, but you can't leave me." The front door slowly closed behind it. Creak, then slammed shut. Bang! The house went silent again. Ethan's father was breathing heavily. What the hell is that thing? Maya looked pale. She whispered something terrifying. It followed me here. Ethan stared at her. You mean it came from the other house? She nodded slowly. Yes. Ethan's father shook his head. That's impossible. But Maya's voice was calm now, almost resigned. It doesn't live in houses. Ethan frowned. Then where does it live? Maya looked directly at the attic window. Her eyes filled with fear again. It lives in the dark. A sudden movement appeared behind the attic window. A shadow, watching them. Then the creature's face slowly pressed against the glass. Its smile wider than ever. It lifted one long finger and pointed directly at Maya. Then it whispered through the glass. I found you again. Welcome back. The last thing Ethan and his family saw was the creature pressing its face against the attic window. Its pale skin stretched tight, its wide smile frozen like a mask, and its long finger pointing directly at Maya. Then it whispered through the glass. I found you again. The words echoed in Ethan's mind. The cold night air around them suddenly felt even colder. No one moved. They all stood frozen in the front yard, staring up at the attic window. The creature didn't move for several seconds. It just watched them, its eyes wide and unblinking. Then something strange happened. The creature slowly raised its hand and began tapping on the glass. Tap, tap, tap. The sound was quiet, but in the silent night it felt loud, almost deliberate, almost like a signal. Maya suddenly grabbed Ethan's arm tightly. Her fingers were shaking again. It's calling something. Ethan looked at her. What do you mean? But Maya didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the window. Then the creature opened its mouth. Slowly, wider, wider, until its jaw stretched unnaturally far. And from inside its throat came a sound. Not a voice, not a scream. Something deeper. A low, vibrating noise. Almost like an animal calling into the night. Ethan felt chills crawl down his spine. Because the sound didn't stay inside the house. It echoed across the neighborhood. Into the trees. Into the darkness. Then suddenly, the creature stopped. It closed its mouth again. Its smile returned. And it disappeared from the window. Just like that. Gone. Ethan's father spoke first. We're leaving. This time no one argued. They quickly moved toward the car parked in the driveway. Ethan's father unlocked the doors. Everyone climbed inside. The engine started. The headlights turned on. But just as they were about to drive away, the car lights illuminated something in the yard. Something standing near the trees. At the edge of the property. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. Because it looked like another figure. Tall, thin, standing perfectly still. His father whispered, "Is that?" Before he could finish, the figure moved. Fast. Too fast. It ran toward the house, then suddenly disappeared behind the side wall. Ethan felt panic rising in his chest. Dad, Gio. The car pulled out of the driveway. They drove down the street quickly. No one spoke for the first minute. Everyone was breathing heavily. Finally, Ethan asked, "Where are we going?" His father answered without hesitation. "To the police station." But Maya immediately shook her head again. No, Ethan groaned. Why not this time? Her voice was urgent. They won't believe you. And even if they do, she looked back through the rear window. It won't matter. Ethan followed her gaze, and his heart stopped. Because behind them, something was moving along the street. Vast, keeping up with the car. Running, but not like a human. Its body moved low to the ground, its limbs bending in strange directions. Like an animal, or a spider. The creature was chasing them. Ethan's father slammed the gas pedal. The car sped forward. The creature kept running, its long arms touching the pavement with every step. Then suddenly, it stopped, right in the middle of the road. The car sped away into the distance. Ethan turned around again. The creature stood there, watching them leave. Then it slowly lifted its head and smiled again. They drove for nearly 10 minutes before anyone spoke again. Ethan's mother was still shaking. What was that thing? No one answered immediately. Then Maya finally spoke. I told you. It doesn't live in houses. Ethan looked at her. So what is it? Maya hesitated. Then she whispered. It's something that follows people. The car fell silent again. Ethan's father frowned. What do you mean follows people? Maya looked down. I think it attaches to someone. Like a shadow. Ethan felt uneasy. And you think that someone is you? She nodded slowly. Yes. Ethan's father shook his head. That doesn't make sense. But Maya continued. It started after the first abandoned house. I heard it above me every night. And when I left, it followed. Ethan asked quietly. Why you? Maya didn't answer. Instead, she said something else. Something that made the car go completely silent. I think it wants to replace someone. Ethan frowned. Replace? Maya nodded. Yes. Ethan felt a cold wave pass through his chest. What do you mean replace? Maya looked at him, her voice barely above a whisper. I think it learns how people talk, how they move, how they sound. And then, she swallowed. It tries to become them. Ethan's father slowed the car slightly. What are you saying? Maya looked toward the dark road ahead. I think it wants to take someone's place. Ethan suddenly remembered the creature using his voice. His mother's voice. Lucas's voice. His stomach twisted. Then something appeared in the rearview mirror again. Ethan noticed it first. Dad. His father looked in the mirror, and his face went pale. Because far behind them, something was running down the road again. And this time, there was more than one. Welcome back. The last thing Ethan noticed in the rearview mirror was something impossible. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. The road behind them was dark. The car headlights barely reached that far. But something was definitely moving. Then Ethan realized the terrifying truth. It wasn't just one creature anymore. There were several. Dark shapes running along the road. Vast. Too fast for anything human. Ethan whispered slowly. Dad. His father was already staring into the mirror. His face had turned pale. How many are there? Ethan counted quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe more. They were spreading across the road behind them, running low to the ground, their limbs bending unnaturally, like animals learning how to walk like humans. Maya spoke quietly from the back seat. It called them. Ethan turned to her. You mean that sound earlier? She nodded slowly. That wasn't just noise. That was a signal. Ethan felt panic rising in his chest. So now there are more of them. Maya didn't answer, but her silence said enough. The creatures were getting closer. Vast. Ethan's father pressed the gas pedal harder. The engine roared. The car sped down the empty road. Streetlights flashed past them. For a moment, it seemed like they were pulling away. But then something terrifying happened. One of the creatures suddenly disappeared from the road. Ethan blinked. What the? Then it appeared again. But not behind them. Beside the car. It ran along the side of the road, keeping perfect speed with the vehicle. Its head turned slowly, looking directly through the window. Ethan felt his blood freeze, because the creature's face looked familiar. Too familiar. It looked like him. Not exactly identical, but close enough to make his heart stop. The same eyes. The same hair. But twisted, distorted, and smiling far too wide. The creature ran beside the car for several seconds. Then it suddenly leapt forward, landing in the road ahead. Ethan's father slammed the brakes. TIRES-SCRECHED. The car stopped just in time. The creature stood in the headlights, perfectly still. Then slowly, it began speaking. In Ethan's voice. You forgot something. Ethan's hands started shaking. What does it want? Maya whispered something terrifying. It's practicing. Ethan stared at her. Practicing for what? She answered softly. For when it replaces you. Before anyone could react. Another creature landed on the hood of the car. Thud. The windshield cracked slightly. Everyone screamed. This one looked different. Its body was thinner. Its eyes wider. And when it spoke, it sounded like Ethan's father. Why are you running? The creature tilted its head. Then it tapped on the glass. Tap, 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 just like it had done on the attic window. Behind them, more creatures surrounded the car. Their shadows moved in the headlights. Some crawled along the pavement. Some stood upright, watching, studying, learning. Ethan whispered, Dad, they're surrounding us. His father gripped the steering wheel tightly. We're not staying here. He suddenly slammed the accelerator. The creature on the hood rolled off the car. The vehicle pushed forward through the creatures. Some scattered. Some jumped away. The car burst through the circle, speeding down the road again. Ethan looked behind them. The creatures weren't chasing anymore. They were standing together in the road, watching. Then something even worse happened. They started copying. One creature began walking exactly like Ethan's father. Another began mimicking Maya's movements. Another tilted its head just like Ethan had earlier. They were learning how to move, how to behave, how to become human. Maya whispered something that made the situation even more terrifying. They're almost ready. Ethan's father frowned. Ready for what? Maya's voice trembled. They don't just replace one person. Ethan felt his stomach twist again. What do you mean? She looked at the dark road behind them. They replace everyone. The car continued driving through the silent town. But the feeling of safety never came back. Because Ethan realized something terrifying. If those creatures could copy voices, copy faces, copy behavior, Then there was one question that no one wanted to ask. How many of them were already hiding among people? Ethan slowly looked at Maya, and for the first time, a terrible thought crossed his mind. What if one of them was already inside the car? The car continued moving through the dark road. No one inside the vehicle spoke for a long time. The only sound was the engine and the tires rolling over the empty pavement. But something had changed. The fear inside the car was no longer just about the creatures outside. Now, there was a new fear. A quieter one. A deeper one. Because of what Maya had said. They replace everyone. Those words stayed in Ethan's mind like a whisper that wouldn't disappear. He slowly looked around the car. His father was driving. His mother was staring out the window. Maya was sitting behind him. Everything looked normal. But suddenly, normal didn't feel safe anymore. Ethan finally spoke. Maya. Her voice came from the back seat. Yes. Ethan hesitated, then asked the question that had been growing inside his mind. How do you know so much about them? The car became quiet again. Maya didn't answer immediately. Ethan's father looked into the mirror. Yeah, he said slowly. You've been explaining a lot about these things. His mother turned slightly in her seat. Maya, what exactly happened in that other house? The silence lasted longer this time. Then Maya finally spoke. Her voice was different now. Lower. More serious. I stayed there longer than I told you. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? Maya continued. I stayed almost a month. Ethan's father spoke carefully. And Maya looked down. At first there was only one. Ethan felt cold again. One creature. She nodded. Yes. But after a while, her voice became softer. There were two. Ethan's stomach twisted. How? Maya didn't answer right away. Instead, she asked a question. Have you ever heard someone calling your name when no one was there? Ethan slowly nodded. Yeah. Maya continued. That's how it starts. The car felt colder. It studies you, she said. It watches how you talk, how you move, what words you use. Ethan asked quietly. And then, Maya looked at him through the rearview mirror. And then it tries to become you. A chill ran through Ethan's entire body. His father shook his head. That still doesn't explain how there were two. Maya's eyes lowered again. Then she said something that made everyone freeze. Because one of them succeeded. No one spoke for several seconds. Ethan finally asked, What do you mean succeeded? Maya's voice trembled slightly. One night, the creature came down from the attic. It looked exactly like the owner of the house. Ethan leaned forward slightly. And what happened to the real owner? Maya whispered the answer. I never saw him again. The car suddenly felt much smaller. Ethan's mother spoke quietly. You think it replaced him? Maya nodded slowly. Yes. Ethan's father tightened his grip on the steering wheel. That's impossible. But Maya shook her head. No. I saw it happen. The car passed under another streetlight. For a moment, everyone's faces became visible in the light. Ethan suddenly realized something strange. Maya wasn't looking scared anymore. She looked calm. Almost too calm. Then something odd happened. His father asked another question. Maya, why didn't it replace you? For the first time since the conversation started. Maya smiled. Just a little. Maybe it tried. Ethan felt something inside his chest tighten. What does that mean? Maya leaned forward slightly. Her face appeared in the dim light. And suddenly, Ethan noticed something strange. Her smile looked different, wider. Then she said something that made Ethan's blood freeze. Maybe it did. The car went completely silent. Ethan slowly turned his head, looking directly at her. What did you just say? Maya's eyes locked onto his. Then she tilted her head slowly, in the exact same way the attic creature had done earlier. Ethan's heart began racing. His father noticed it too. Maya. Then Maya spoke again. But this time, the voice wasn't hers. It sounded like Ethan. Perfectly identical. We learned a lot tonight. The car suddenly felt suffocating. Ethan's father slammed the brakes. TIRES-SCRECHED. The car stopped in the middle of the empty road. Everyone turned toward Maya. Her head slowly lifted, and her smile stretched wider, far wider than before. Then she whispered softly, "You should have left me in the attic." Ethan's heart dropped, because now, he finally understood something horrifying. The creatures weren't just chasing them. One of them had already been inside the car the whole time, and it had been sitting right behind him. The car had stopped in the middle of the empty road. The engine was still running. The headlights lit up the dark street ahead. But inside the car, everything felt frozen, because the truth had just revealed itself. The creature hadn't only been outside the house. It hadn't only been chasing them through the streets. One of them had already been with them the entire time, sitting quietly in the back seat, pretending to be Maya. Ethan slowly turned around. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. Maya, or whatever was pretending to be her, was smiling. Not the normal smile Ethan had seen earlier. This one was wider. Too wide. The corners of her mouth stretched unnaturally. Her eyes didn't blink. They simply stared, studying everyone inside the car. Then she spoke again. But this time, her voice changed. First it sounded like Ethan. Then his father. Then his mother. Then Maya again. The voice kept shifting, like someone flipping through different masks. We learned so much tonight. Ethan's father grabbed the door handle. Get out of the car. The creature tilted its head, just like the one from the attic. Then it spoke softly. You're afraid now. No one answered. The creature slowly leaned forward between the seats. Its long fingers rested on the back of Ethan's chair. You weren't afraid before. Its smile grew wider. Not when you let me in. Ethan felt a cold wave rush through his body. Because suddenly, he remembered something. Earlier that night, when Maya had first come down from the attic, they had trusted her, fed her, let her sit in the house, let her stay with them. The creature spoke again. You opened the door. You invited me inside. The words felt heavy, like a terrible truth. Ethan's mother whispered, "Where is the real Maya?" For the first time, the creature stopped smiling. Its face became still. Then it answered quietly. She stopped running. The meaning was clear. The real Maya was gone. The creature had replaced her. Ethan's father suddenly opened his car door. Everyone out. The family rushed out of the vehicle. They moved quickly across the road. The cold wind hit their faces again. Behind them, the creature slowly stepped out of the car. But something was different now. It wasn't pretending as much. Its posture had changed. Its arms looked slightly longer, its smile more unnatural. It watched them carefully. Then it spoke one last time. But now, the voice sounded like all of them at once, layered together. You can run again, but we always find you. Ethan felt fear deeper than anything before, because of the word it had used. Wait. His father noticed it too. Did you hear that? Ethan nodded slowly. Yes. Then the creature slowly turned its head, looking down the dark road behind them. And suddenly, more shapes appeared, emerging from the darkness. Walking, crawling, moving closer. More of the creatures. Dozens of them. Each one slightly different, but all of them smiling. The creature that had replaced Maya stepped backward, joining them. Then it raised its hand and waved, almost like saying goodbye, before turning and disappearing into the darkness with the others. The road became silent again. Ethan and his family stood there in shock. The creatures were gone, but the fear didn't leave, because now they knew something terrifying. The creatures weren't just hiding in attics. They weren't just following one person. They were learning, watching, replacing, and somewhere, out there in the world, they were still practicing, learning how to become us. Final narration ending, perfect for YouTube. Ethan and his family never returned to that house again. The police searched it the next day. They found the broken attic, the mattress, the footprints, but they never found Maya. And they never found anything else. No creature, no evidence, nothing. But Ethan says sometimes, late at night, he still hears knocking. 3 slow knocks, somewhere above him. Knock, knock, knock. And sometimes, when he hears someone call his name, he always checks one thing first, to make sure the voice really belongs to the person standing next to him. Because after that night, he learned something terrifying. Just because someone looks human doesn't mean they are.